Animal abuse, check. Throwing a big heavy metal ball at an animal to hold it in captivity against its will, check. His friends going along with him to help him do all this, check. You sure this is a show for kids? Hey guys, and welcome back to Blessed Minds, where today we're covering a topic that has been long overdue for a discussion. What is Pokemon's true story? Now I know you might be saying, well obviously it's about a kid who wants to catch all the Pokemon in his region or of the world, and he's going with his friends about doing that. But what if I told you that's not the true story of Pokemon? Hear me out. I believe Pokemon is all in Ash Ketchum's imagination. So first, before we get into this, let's just do a quick recap of the Pokemon series. In Pokemon, you catch several different animals by throwing big heavy metal balls at them after injuring them. And after you do this, they are currently in something you call a Pokédex. And in your Pokédex are the multiple Pokemon you store, and you can call them on it each time. In Pokemon the series, which we are talking about, Ash Ketchum actually goes to the professor to get his Pokédex and his Pokemon, and he chooses a Pikachu. And then he gets in a big bike accident where the Pikachu thunderbolts him and they put him on medication. But then after that, he goes on wonderful adventures with his friends and constantly outsmarts this group called Team Rocket. And he goes to different gyms, earning badges and getting stuff to become what he dreams of, becoming the greatest in the world. The very best, like no one ever was. Now you might be asking, that's all fine and dandy, but where does the part he's imagining come in all this? And it actually comes in right from the beginning. You see, I think Ash Ketchum's whole show, including the part where he got the Pokemon, is all imaginary for him to escape the real world. I think this whole Pokemon journey is in his mind, and it's a way for him to cope and deal with his everyday life. Let's look at the facts, shall we? Ash Ketchum is living in a world where there's no school, there's practically no rules, and he can do whatever he wants, and he actually becomes the best at what he does. A child's dream. Notice how I said a child's dream. He's really living the dream life, and I think this is just his world to escape to when things are going wrong in his life. So, after more evidence of this, look. Well, let's start off by saying this. This might be a place for his mind to escape to. Because in Pokemon, it is pretty well established that Ash Ketchum doesn't have a father. And we never really get an explanation why. This can also add on to the stress that he's feeling when he's at home. But let's talk about his mother. His mother, all we really see her do is kind of take him to the Pokemon shop. And besides that, every time he comes to visit, she just gives him soup. Doesn't seem very motherly to me. But we can also take this a step further. When he gets there, he chooses Pikachu. We'll get more on that later. But Ash Ketchum chooses Pikachu because he stands out. And Ash Ketchum also makes friends everywhere he goes. Now, I think Ash Ketchum in the real world doesn't really have much friends because he stands out. Now, let's review this evidence. But before we go more into detail on that, I wanted to point out something else. Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny. Notice how there's one of them in each town he goes to. Now, you might be screaming, Nurse Joy said that they're related. But Officer Jenny didn't really say anything like that. Nurse Joy has apparent twins in each town she goes to. Now, you might mark this off as just complete lazy writing by the people who made the series, but I think not. I think Ash actually has all this in his imagination. It certainly would explain why everything you see there is just completely unoriginal. And it's just completely unrealistic for something based off of a real life thing. But then again, in the real life, you don't have giant Pokemon running around, fainting, and getting attack bonuses. But anyways, in this, Ash Ketchum sure does a lot of stuff. And Ash Ketchum surely does stand out above the rest. This could be why he chooses Pikachu, because he feel like he relates to Pikachu. He feel like he's unique and he stands out. But he's also feel like no one will pick him, as when they did not pick Pikachu, they wanted to pick the other popular ones. This could also be a hint towards his stress and about how he doesn't really do anything. And wherever Ash Ketchum goes, he makes friends there. But this could also be a reference to how he doesn't have friends in real life, noticed by the standing out Pikachu who no one ever chooses. And in Pokemon, we see Ash Ketchum hurrying to leave when he's 13. He isn't hesitant. He isn't like, wait, let me stay with you for a little bit more, Mom. He's so ready to just leave. It's almost kind of, concerning how ready he is to leave. But this would make perfect sense as a hint to what's actually going on. And we could also use something as another hint. In the first episode of Pokemon, it shows how Ash Ketchum goes into a coma. But he does wake up. Now, I'm not saying he was in that coma for a long time. I'm saying that never happened. I think that was also a hint at us that Ash Ketchum isn't really in his right mind. So, I've pretty much viewed all the evidence I have for this. But you might think, oh, this is a little, but let's re-go through everything. My number one evidence is that Pokemon is based off real life. And nothing we see in Pokemon is really ethical to real life Asia, which is where this is supposed to be at. My number two evidence is that Ash Ketchum, for his age and for his region in Asia, does not have to go to school, but instead can pursue this Pokemon journey, which would be highly unlikely in real life, where you would have to go to school. From our evidence, we can see Ash Ketchum chooses Pikachu because how Pikachu stands out from the rest. We can say that Ash Ketchum relates to Pikachu because in real life, Ash Ketchum does stand out and he doesn't make that many friends, which leads us to our next point. Ash Ketchum makes friends everywhere he goes. This could relate to how he wants to make friends, but he can't in real life because how he stands out like Pikachu and no one really wants to talk to him or make friends with him. So in his place to get away from it all, this would be how he does it, because in his mind he would want to make these friends. My next piece of evidence is how Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny and how they're one in each town makes no logical sense at all. Even if they're all twins and they all share a family name, which is highly improbable. He's not focused on the people who do these jobs because he's still a kid. He's focused on his journey. Just terrible parenting. She doesn't mind her son leaving her, and every time he comes to visit, all she does is just give him soup, and his father is missing. The fact that he doesn't have school, but this is supposed to be a real life thing in Asia, and Asia has the most year-round schools of all time. Ash Ketchum is so eager to leave the house. He doesn't even ask, can I stay with mom a little longer or anything. He's just so extremely eager. Heck, I can even say that his whole adventure to become the best there ever was actually him wanting to show that even though he's different, he could stand out like the others and even stand out better. And that's why he wanted to become the best, to show that he could hang with the best, even though he's considered to be the worst. Heck, we can even say the alleged animal abuse in the series is in fact a figment of his imagination, because in real life, if you did the things that they do in Pokemon, you would get arrested for animal abuse, but it's completely justified in the mind of a child. So I ask you today, is Pokemon real, or is it all in Ash Ketchum's imagination? Think about that. But at the end of the day, have I ever told you about how this is all a theory? No? Well, that's a story for another time.